Aries rising. Natives with Aries rising are prone to be bold and impulsive. This native needs opportunities to take the initiative, as well as patient parents to teach him to look before he leaps. This native likely has a strong personality, but others may see him as somewhat self-centered and possibly arrogant. He could appear to be self-enterprising, single-minded, and daring, a leader. If he receives the necessary education, he might grow up to be a pioneer in his field. The sign ruling the ascendant is said to rule the chart. Mars rules Aries. Study Mars's and the Sun's sign, house position, and aspects as well. They will reveal much about your native's emerging personality. If Mars or the Sun are in fire signs, this native is likely to be active, yet possibly quite demanding in his approach to life. Mars or the Sun in an earth sign is a stabilizing influence. He strives forward determinedly. If Mars or the Sun are in water signs, he could be touchy and defensive. He needs to learn not to take himself so seriously. When Mars or the Sun are in air signs, the native is apt to be quite sociable. If the rest of the chart depicts a more passive personality, seek ways to bring out his native self-reliance by building in him self-confidence and a healthy self-esteem. He learns by making choices. Taurus rising. Natives with Taurus rising most often come across as stable, even-tempered, even gentle in their response to most situations. Sometimes this native may seem very stubborn, tending to take his time and react to a situation fully. Indeed, he could procrastinate, or perhaps he works slowly but surely. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love and physical wealth. This native may be attracted to the good things in life, nice clothes, special belongings, favorite foods, and his own beautifully furnished room. He may be born with a green thumb, be artistic, or excel at school fundraisers. If Venus is in a fire sign, the native is apt to be creative and outgoing in the pursuing the object of his affection. When Venus is in an air sign, the native is likely to be friendly and sociable. He could be gracious as well. Especially if Venus is in Libra, he could be physically attractive. If Venus is found in a water sign, the native will be compassionate, sensitive, and loving, but if pampered, could become indolent and self-indulgent. If Venus is in an earth sign, the native will have good earning potential. He could be concerned with social status and recognition. Gemini rising. The native with Gemini rising is typically quick, witty, and much given to talk and communicating with others. He comes across as intelligent, verbal, and perhaps a little on the nervous side. He tends to be changeable, being all things to all people. He may love to mimic and will need good role models. Ideas to him could be tangible, like things. Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. Study Mercury's sign, house position, and aspects well. They will reveal much about this native's emerging personality. If Mercury is in a fire sign, the native is likely to be mentally adroit and may be dexterous with his hands. However, he may tend to be irritable and may need help finishing what he begins. If Mercury is in an air sign, the native will likely take a mental approach to life, be sociable, and enjoy learning. He could, however, be easily distractive or live in his head. When Mercury is found in water signs, the native may be intuitive, but his emotions could interfere with his ability to think rationally. Mercury in an earth sign would lend stability to the chart and could indicate mental concentration. Natives with Mercury in Taurus may appear slow to learn, but tend to be thorough and retain information well. Cancer rising. The native with Cancer rising comes across as emotional and reactive. His tendency is to sense things rather than think them through. He likes to mother everyone within his protective envelope. He loves to work around the home, shop, or kitchen. The early home environment makes a lasting impression on the native with this ascendant, for better or for worse. If there is harmony at home, this native will feel protected and secure. He could be very anxious if there is a great deal of conflict. The Cancer rising native is adaptable, but may be shy and moody. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Study the moon's sign, house position, and aspects well. They will reveal much about your native's emerging personality. If the moon is in a fire sign, the native is likely to be energetic, but touchy and defensive. He needs to learn to control his emotional reactions. When the moon is found in air, the native will reach out to people. He comes to understand his feelings through reason. If the moon is in a water sign, the native will be very emotionally sensitive and could be prone to self-pity. When the moon is in an earth sign, the native will be very concerned with security. This combination confers common sense. Leo rising. Leo rising wears his heart on his sleeve, always managing to come across as confident and sure of himself. Leo natives are typically very free with their emotions, which nevertheless tend to stay under control. The Leo native is affectionate, warm-hearted, and effusive. Liking center stage, he may want all the attention on himself. Teach him to be thoughtful. The Sun rules Leo. If this native Sun is in a fire sign, leadership potential is enhanced, but he probably needs to learn to harness the fire as well as to consider the needs of others. If his Sun is in an air sign, he is apt to be quite sociable, optimistic, and positive. He is probably friendly and communicative. The native with a water sign Sun with Leo rising could be temperamental. He needs a good sense of self-esteem. He could feel hurt easily. An earth sign Sun could be the signature of a banker. His bravado is likely to be applied in practical works, later in work. Naturally modest or perhaps a bit quiet and shy, this native may need deserved praise to build up his self-confidence. Virgo rising. Virgo rising natives tend to be careful and precise, caring and responsible. A sense of perfection carried to the extreme can lead to anxiety. Virgo natives may need your help seeing what's right instead of focusing immediately on what's wrong. Attention to detail, analytical, and probably mental and verbal skills are their forte, and many natives with this rising sign are serious students. Most Virgo natives are refined and neat. Mercury rules Virgo. If your native's Mercury is in a fire sign, he could be quick to make decisions, but critical. Natives with Virgo rising who have Mercury in an air sign know how to mix with others. They can be quite persuasive in their speech or with their pen. If Mercury is found in a water sign, the native could be emotional, critical of self, intuitive. When Mercury is in an earth sign, he uses his mind to come up with practical solutions. He works hard. Libra rising. Libra rising comes across as gracious and sociable. With proper education, these normally refined natives can be exceptionally well-mannered and polite. The Libra rising native tends to reflect and mirror other people's feelings or their perceived expectations of him. He needs to cultivate a sense of a me. Because he doesn't like tipping the Libra scales, he may tend to accommodate others rather than rock the boat. He needs to learn to stick up for himself and to deal with consequences and even confrontations without fear. Venus, the planet of love and beauty, rules Libra. If Libra is found in a fire sign, the native may be socially outgoing. With Venus in an air sign, the native mixes well with all sorts of people. When Venus is in a water sign, the native could be kind but less apt to feel secure in relationships. He needs to know his own self-worth. If Venus is in an earth sign, the native often loves beautiful things. The Libra rising native is typically very aware of his appearance. He may be physically attractive and probably likes to look nice. A warning, Libra rising youngsters are often aware of the dividends a little charm can bring. If not checked, an affected charm can be an effective way to manipulate others. Teach this native to be sincere and honest. Scorpio rising. Scorpio rising natives may appear intense and secretive. He probably likes to feel that he's in charge. Natives with strong Scorpio placements usually respect power, rules consistently and lovingly applied. This native may be super sensitive, this being a blessing and at the same time a burden. He is likely to be extremely self-reliant. He could be creative and dynamic in his expression. Let me do it my way, Mom. If you can manage to keep your cool when confronted with Scorpio's emotional intensity, you'll teach him the valuable lesson of mastering his emotions and his anger. Learning to let go of desire may be a tough lesson, best learnt as a native. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. Aspects to either or both of these planets describe the native's temperament. House positions of Mars and Pluto could pinpoint areas of great importance to him. Sagittarius rising. The Sagittarius rising native is likely to be an adventurer. He may come across in a frank, candid, and scrupulously honest manner, honest to the point of being offensive. Sagittarian natives are typically open-minded, tolerant, and love to travel in the mind, philosophy, and religion, and perhaps across the earth as well. Often they're natural equestrians and love riding. The concept of limits is foreign to them. Independence is their keynote. Teach this native responsibility and the importance of wrapping up and finishing what he begins. Show him that the Sagittarian arrow must reach the mark. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. If Jupiter is in a fire sign, the native is probably active, loves sports, and the great outdoors. When Jupiter is in an air sign, he's probably a talker. He could later work in publishing or communication. When Jupiter is found in a water sign, the native may be naturally devotional. He could be interested in serving others through religion, teaching, or medicine. The Sagittarius rising native with Jupiter in an earth sign would be more concerned with worldly matters. He looks for a way to make his dreams concrete. Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising is likely impressing others as being very grown up. Capricorn natives tend to be practical, reliable, and steady. Give this native practical opportunities to develop his natural managerial skills. A bit on the serious side, teach him to think positively, to see the cup as half full instead of half empty. Others may interpret his clear-mindedness as emotional coolness. This native needs to develop a strong sense of self-esteem. He could be too hard on himself and could fear rejection, especially if one or both parents is overly strict, condemnatory, or absent. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Study Saturn's house position to discover where the native may be most likely to focus his efforts. Aspects to Saturn will reveal much about his temperament. Aquarius rising. The Aquarius rising native tends to gravitate toward groups. Very social, he communicates best when in a group or when working toward some very worthwhile goal. Idealism is apparent to all who come to know him. An unconventional, rebellious streak may characterize him. Teach your Aquarius rising native through story, history, film, and experience the consequences of free will and the responsibility that accompanies independence. He may need to cultivate patience towards friends who may not match his own quick perception. This native needs to learn tolerance for the ideas and ways of others if he is to express the virtue of this progressive sign, fraternity. He could feel, or others could perceive him as, somehow different. Perhaps he is ahead of his time. Saturn and Uranus by house and sign position are especially significant with this placement and will reveal much concerning the native's future goals and aspirations. Pisces rising. Pisces rising is very gentle and peace-loving, born with a sensitivity and concern for others that comes across in all he says and does. The native with Pisces rising gives others the sense of being long-suffering and capable of much personal sacrifice. Visualization and imagination are heightened with this rising sign, common in the charts of artists. But watch out for self-pity and excessive daydreaming. Teach this native to discriminate in friendship, lest his kindness lead him to be taken advantage of. Because they love to minister to life, Pisces rising natives often enjoy caring for pets. Neptune rules Pisces. Study the house position of Neptune to see where the native is most apt to sacrifice for others. Aspects to Neptune will reveal how this native may express his native creativity and rich imagination. The Neptune aspects will also uncover where he is most vulnerable to being hurt through impractical idealism.
Do you feel stuck at your job or work for a boss you detest? Are you making all the effort in your relationship and the sentiment isn't being returned or don't know what to do? The psychics on the Absolutely Psychic Network are insightful in helping you maximize your potentials with your upcoming opportunities. Make the most of your time by knowing what is and isn't worth your time and effort. Talk to our trusted and accurate psychics now. Call 1-800-498-8777 or visit absolutelypsychic.com.